Welcome to this week's edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm Johnny. That's Edward. This is Zach. For all of you guys out there in podcast land, we are here on this Monday, June the 3rd. How are you guys doing this week?
Doing well.
Yeah, I'm pretty good too.
Ed?
Appreciate you.
No problem.
Yeah.
This is a special, different version of us that you guys can now see. You can now finally put the voices to the faces or the faces to the voices, however you want to do it. But this is
People can stop stalking us now.
yeah. This is the
I
podcast
don't know what
now.
it look like. It's even
Especially
more.
this tall, dark, and handsome Eduardo. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. Sorry.
Scooch on in here. We don't bite.
Yeah, you know.
This is a test run. If you guys are out there listening to us, we are now on video. This will be on Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube, Podbean. We're out there wherever you get your pods from. You can check us out. Last night we did a bonus episode, me and Zach here,
Yes.
and we talked all about the 1979 Alien.
Fine wine.
It's good. It was a great movie. The transfer from DVD to Blu-ray to 4K is amazing. It's $14.99. I highly recommend it.
I think we spent.
I'd go. That's Covenant.
I think we spent more time.
I'd
on
go
it
check it
actually.
out. It's a great buy. Worth it. You can pick it up at Best Buy, Walmart, Target, wherever you pick up your movies from. What about you guys? Did you guys have a good week?
Yeah, pretty good. Just worked a lot of hours, so that's why I wasn't on the bonus episode. I was working.
But you were on the
you know.
bonus episode in November. If you guys want to check it out, you
Yes.
can go to the archives and check out the bonus episode that we covered, The Evil Dead.
And actually, you can find us Facebook.com/movie reels 405. That is MOVIEREELZ 40 and 5. So you've got Facebook, got YouTube. You can find all of our episodes on either one of those two platforms, as well as Podbean and even Spotify.
Spotify's picking it up. Last
Yeah.
week's episode of Saving Private Ryan did almost 200 downloads.
I like it.
Awesome.
I like it.
And I think Zach touched on it yesterday. It's the anniversary of the actual.
Yes. This Thursday is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Believe it or not.
The beaches of Normandy.
So it picked up really, really big, which, like I said yesterday, I don't mind. We'll reap the benefits from it.
Well, it's kind of an honor of the men that done their duty to their country.
Yes.
That day,
Yes.
so.
Not to mention the movie is just
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, 100%.
So
the movie was
that-
fantastic.
that helps it out as well. But this week is a whole nother ball game. We're getting back into the comic book world like we've kind of touched on most of the year with Marvel, but this one's a little bit different. This one is DC, but it's a different DC movie, and we're talking about Watchmen. It's on 4K, but unfortunately, it's the ultimate cut on 4K. So if you're like Edward here, who checked out the ultimate cut, he sat through 3.5 hours of the movie, and then 35 hours of bonus footage that is only in this 4K copy.
35 minutes.
35 minutes. Me and Zach watched the director's cut,
Yes.
which, if you're out there and you have it on Blu-ray, it has a director's cut, and then it has the theatrical cut. Then it's got the Zack Snyder cut, or the ultimate Warner Brothers experience, where he stands and talks about the movie scene by scene.
Yeah.
That's not the one we covered. If you have a hard time understanding the story, by all means, go check that one out. Zack Snyder helps you out.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't have a hard time with the story, but I'll have to check that out just to see. Maybe I missed a few things of what the story was trying to explain and infer and go into, for that matter. So I'll have to check that out one time.
So we checked out the director's cut, which we're going to review and talk about today. What about you guys have any recent watches that you guys want to talk about?
Actually, I have been watching Chernobyl a little bit more now. It's kind of ticked me off a little bit, but I found out that Chernobyl, the HBO series, is a mini-series, actually. And basically what I say mini-series, and what that means is that it is only 5 episodes. We have one left, and I think it's either Tuesday or Thursday. I forget, but it's Tuesday or Thursday. One of the two that it premieres, and the season is finito, done. Which I've got to say, it's really surprised me. Like I said the last time I got to talk about it on the Saving Private Ryan episode, it is extremely detailed. There is very few things in that actually didn't happen, or are not real, factual to what the story is told in the actual show. So don't get me wrong, every character, everything that happened to that character, there is like a 95% real value of it.
Nice.
So
you've made it through 3 episodes. You got 2 more to go.
Yes.
What about you? You check out anything else? Any other movies?
So
maybe?
far, no, not at the moment. Sadly,
I'll talk about some of the stuff I've went through right quick. Mine is kind of some older movies that I recently have been just kind of checking out that I haven't checked out in a while or before. Last week I watched Serenity with Matthew McConaughey and
I did see a little bit of
Anne
that.
Hathaway. It's really weird, but it's not bad. It's decent.
Someone spoiled it for me at work.
I'm sorry.
Does it make you think, or
It does make you think.
Okay, so is that the way it's weird, or just
the ending is weird?
Okay,
because you're going this way, and then the ending it goes like this.
A little bit of a twist and a little bit of break in the action.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I highly recommend that. It's very good.
I mean, from what
if
I've
you
seen,
could Redbox it,
I would.
If you could Redbox it, and I bought it, but it's good. And then I checked out some kid movies. How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Yeah. Love that one.
It's not bad. Lego Movie 2 I was kind of disappointed in.
Were you?
Yeah. I enjoyed the first one a whole hell of a lot, to where I gave the first one a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
honestly,
the second one, I ranked it like 6.
I feel like the second one they just didn't have much no idea for it.
The first one just kind of annoyed me just because of the song.
Oh, I love the song.
Don't get me wrong. If that's the biggest gripe I've got, then that's pretty petty. Don't get me wrong. So.
And then I recently, for the first time since she was on our Queens of Cinema episode, I did recently watch Pretty Woman with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
You know what? For a 1990s,
it ages decently actually.
For a 1990s chick flick /
rom-com.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Was that your first time seeing it?
That was my first time seeing it. It wasn't terrible. So I liked it. I gave it a 7. I like how you can have a kind of what would you call it? A dramedy.
Yeah.
There you go.
A dramedy, and it was kind of a chick flick, but it wasn't, and it wasn't raunchy. It wasn't trashy. So I was really impressed. Waited 28 years to watch it.
Richard Gere, not too bad.
And then I checked out Crazy Stupid Love again.
Good movie.
Yeah. Phenomenal. And then watched Alien and Watchmen for get ready for these episodes.
Cool.
So what about you, Zach?
Well, guys, I kind of went on like a monster movie spree.
Nice.
I watched the original Godzilla from 1954. I have that on Criterion, actually.
Oh,
really cool setup.
So what is that? You said 1954. That's literally, I think, I did watch a thing about Godzilla, and so far, Godzilla, the biggest one ever, is the 2017 animated Godzilla Earth.
Yeah,
300
This is the 1950
Gojira
copy that he's talking about, but he's got it on Criterion. You lucky son of a gun, you.
Yeah. And then I watched the 2014 Godzilla from Gareth Edwards.
Let me pause just for a second, because what I keep forgetting, we're doing 2 ways here. For those of you listening out on podcast land, we are doing our first VOD stream right now. So when I said this is what he was talking about, I held up the 1950s version of Godzilla to the camera so everybody out there can see what movie we're talking about. And for those of you that are watching us here on this beautiful way of getting into our lives and letting us show you how we do this thing after 6 months to a year now, this is the library. This is what this is everything that we watch, we talk about. Eventually we'll have some better lighting, some nicer posters up. But right now this is it. So 1954 Godzilla, and then what else did you watch?
The 2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and then I watched Watchmen for the first time, and on Sunday I went and saw Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Did you get to rewatch 97 yet?
No, not yet.
No.
I did buy it on 4K, which I opened it and I kind of looked at a few scenes, and it does look really good.
Does it?
See, I actually liked 2017 Kong Skull Island. I really thought that was pretty good.
It's a fun film.
And it doesn't drag.
No, it's very fast.
At 140?
Emily Blunt, right? Or no.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, okay, yeah.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah. That's the first role that I
What a great.
knowingly seen her in. So, I mean, you know.
It was her post Oscar win role.
Yeah.
So
So that's going to be a short little recent
Summary.
watches for you guys. Yeah. Nothing too big. Ed, you kind of touched bases on it, how they can find us.
Yeah.
But if they want to find us on Facebook, you explain that. They can also find us on YouTube through Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. So you go to Facebook /Movie Reels 405. And basically, right there will be a Learn More button. So go ahead and hit that Learn More button for me. That'll transfer you over to the YouTube actual channel of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So from there, you'll go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you like our content, leave that notification bell on, and always go ahead every single week, sometimes even twice a week like this week. We've done a bonus episode, and we're doing this episode. So go ahead and get double the content every now and then. Hey, I can't complain on that, honestly.
how can you when you get an extra credit?
Not to mention, we do have a brand new segment coming up. We have one coming up called the Fab Four. So if you guys don't know what that is, we started last week. Ed here is going to give you 4 things that you did not know about Watchmen. And then we have one called Out of the Box. And Zach will explain to you box office news over the weekend. We're back and sitting here with Ed. And Ed, you're going to talk to us about the fabulous 4 things that you didn't know about Watchmen. So what do you got for us, Ed?
Alright, so one is kind of a double feature thing, but the thing is that it is still based on one character, the comedian. Now, the character is obviously played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's been in many roles on movies and TV shows, more famously, I think, TV shows than movies. However, the double part is, A, he actually thought the comedian was a cameo.
Yeah?
Yeah. Kind of funny, he thought he was a cameo because the movie cuts in and out here and there, so he thought it was a cameo because he had some, but not a ton of things to do. Now, on top of that, one of those things he does is gets thrown from a, 5-story window?
In the movie, I think it's a penthouse apartment, so it's got to be
it's
15,
up there.
10, 15 stories.
It's up there. Anyways.
So you're on number 3, right?
No, this is still number 1.
4?
Or, number 4, sorry about that. So, basically, when he gets thrown out, he wanted it to actually kind of look more real, like he actually got thrown out. Well, he actually did get thrown out. Of course, onto a soft pad and all that, but it was a 10-foot drop, so a little bit of a drop. Number 3. Now, I know this is a little weird before you find your main thoughts guy, but the thing is $7 million was actually spent before Zack Snyder was even on the project, for that matter. So that's a little weird, but it is factual. Search it.
It shows dedication from Zack Snyder.
Hey.
Yeah.
Number 2.
2!
Number 2. Basically, okay, so with, how do you say his name? The, Primpy...
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias, thank you.
Smartest man in the world.
Well, he's not that smart because he messed up on his costume. The actual costume is supposed to be purple and gold. Kind of a Thanos-like thing. But it is kind of a parody, for that matter, of his own costume.
And this has been Star Wars talk.
Yeah.
Kind of odd, but hey, things happen. Alright, now, number 1 I'm kind of put this as my most interesting one. Rorschach. Basically, that is, of course, a real psychologist test. Okay, it basically.
Which is demonstrated in the movie.
Yes, yes. It actually is, and it basically tries to tell what kind of mentality you have. Mine would be pretty messed up, just letting you know. Now, in it, there are 10 different images, or ink blots, as they like to put it. Now, with Rorschach's mask, I think it's really interesting because it changes all the time. But it matters who you are depending on what you see in his mask. So, with that, you're actually seeing what the character he is talking to or facing is seeing when the actual mask is changing up and all
So it's
that.
like a mood ring, but for the person he's talking to.
Basically, exactly. But yeah, it kind of it delves into the psyche of the mind, and he gets to play a game with you, as well as be extremely powerful. So, I was actually surprised with Rorschach.
Yeah.
I really was. I liked this character. That was probably my favorite character.
We'll dig into it here in a little bit. So, good job
That
on
is
Ed.
the four.
That is the 4 things.
F-A-B-U-L-O-U-S.
That is the 4 things that you did not know about Watchmen. So pretty interesting little get there, Ed. And now we're gonna get on to Zach about we got some box office stuff going on. So it's a little segment we like to call In the Box. What about that, Zach?
I like that.
So going into the box, we had some big box office attractions this weekend.
We did.
Stuff like Godzilla, Aladdin's still pretty high, but a little movie we like to call The Avengers fell out of the top 5 this week, did it not?
It did fall out of the top 5, guys, but it's getting close. It's getting super close.
I heard it's got $100 million to go until it reaches number 1.
Yes. As of right now, Avengers Endgame is sitting at $2.7 billion. I'm pretty sure James Cameron's getting scared.
Actually, so it only has about 80 million to go. 88 million. 80 to 88 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you got X-Men coming out. You got
This
Spider-Man coming out. You have
Toy
Toy
Story
Story,
4.
Lion King. It's got some competition. I will say, if it can make it to if it can make it to the number 1 slot,
I think it will be barely above that.
But if it does, even if it barely gets it, talk about the gauntlet that it fucking went through.
Man, because even before Endgame, there were so many movies before this, like Infinity War, Last Jedi, Force Awakens. Everyone thought Force Awakens was going to do that. It didn't. This is a big milestone. I don't ever think a film
We'll do it
with
again.
this caliber will ever do that.
We got to talk about too that Avatar was in theaters for like almost 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and plus, they did bring it back.
yeah, they did a
Yeah,
re-release for the director's cut.
So I
And
think
the
it
Oscars,
was
yeah.
$2.3 or $2.4 billion. Sorry about that. $1 billion
But,
that it actually did.
But Zach, you have the complete list of the movies that are on top this week, and
Yes,
you
sir.
also have a non-spoiler for one of them.
I do. So I'm just going to run through the list. These are the top 5 films, and I'll say how much they made. Rounding out number 1 is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit. Aladdin is staying strong at number 2. Godzilla made $49.0 million. Aladdin made $42.3 million. The biopic Rocket Man about Elton John came out number 3.
Taron Egerton.
Incredible job. If you guys haven't seen Rocket Man, please go check that out. Here's one that kind of surprised me, and maybe it's the star power in this, but number 4, Ma, Octavia Spencer's horror film, came out in the top 5 with $18.3 million.
Horror sells.
Yes. And then finally, rounding out the top 5, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, at $11.1 million. So, John Wick has been out for 3 weeks, and it's still in the top 5. So, I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
What about Godzilla?
So, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, I'm just going to give, like you said, Johnny, a quick spoiler review.
Spoiler free.
Yes, I'm not going to spoil anything for people that haven't seen it yet. It is Guys, when I tell you, like, if you've ever wanted to see an awesome monster film, this is it.
Is it?
Like, this is, like, so kick-ass. Every single time one of these monsters are on screen and the battle goes on, that, like, the entrance for King Ghidorah, like, insane. It is, like, one of the coolest things ever. Besides that, I think that's obviously the strong point of the film. The human characters in the movie, I'm sad to say, were kind of, like, not really used properly, and you have really good talent with Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown. The human story is not that good, but I mean, you don't go see it.
I was interested in the cast choice because I did think it was like a good choice about Vera being in it. She's one of those actresses that I generally think, she could probably have a good role in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for her?
She's good, but
just still not.
I think the screenplay is just kind of muddied. You don't really know
like
what
you were getting ready to get into.
But you don't go see a Godzilla film for the humans. I mean, that's just point.
That's what the critics don't get, though.
Oh yeah, this movie's sitting at like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and do your tagline?
We don't give a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes on this show. Pardon the interruption. Pardon the language. We don't give a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes. We go into every movie with an open mind.
Yes.
Because if you read spoilers or if you read reviews or if this film's getting praise and you go in like, I didn't like it, 9 times out of 10, if you go in with an open mind, you're gonna like it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So for you, Zach, that was your end of the box this week.
Yeah.
And now we are getting into.
Oh, and I'll give a rating. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd definitely check it out.
All right.
So.
Now we're getting into the meat, the good old meat and potatoes of this week's episode, and that's something that everybody likes called the top 5. All right, this week's top 5 is a good addition that, since yesterday's bonus episode was all about Alien and, a good, nice sci-fi movie. Watchmen can hit or miss be, maybe an action sci-fi flick or a fantasy.
Or drama, even.
Yeah, or drama. And then with the opening of Godzilla and, just all this.
Got Dark Phoenix coming out this weekend.
All this crazy stuff going on. We decided that this week's edition of the top 5 is going to be, sci-fi movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be something from Starship Troopers, or some people even attest to saying that maybe a Superman movie could even be a sci-fi film. So we generally don't, judge on what one of another's list is going to content to. But this week's we're going to talk all about top 5 sci-fi movies. I have some honorable mentions. I don't know.
I got honorable mentions.
Eduardo?
I'm not doing them this week. Not this week.
But I'll throw out some of mine honorable mentions rapid fire right quick. Also, I figured that we would talk about sci-fi movies because Avatar is probably going to go down, and that's probably one of the biggest sci-fi movies in the last 10 years.
It'll make appearance somewhere.
So, my honorable mentions is going to be Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh, nice.
Keanu Reeves.
Nice.
Bringing John Wick in again.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
I'm not going to put it in the top 5, but Terminator 2. We always somehow kind of talk about a Terminator 2 movie. Damn wind in here is crazy.
Sorry about that.
Also, Aliens, the sequel to the movie we covered yesterday. And then War of the Worlds.
Oh, nice.
Tom Cruise.
Nice.
So those are my honorable mentions.
War of the Worlds.
Zach, you got some honorable mentions?
I do. I have 4. I'm just gonna, like you said, speed round these off.
Rapid fire is the word we use here.
Rapid fire. Interstellar.
Oh, yeah.
Gravity. We talked about it yesterday with Alien 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think it's got to be somewhere in there, either top 5 or honorable mention. And then probably my official honorable mention is Minority Report.
That's what I was looking at too. So those are honorable mentions out of the way. Ed, do you want to start off with your number 5?
Number 5, I am going to put. I know some of you will probably be a little bit depressed, and I guess.
Now, when you talk about you people out there, he is talking about some of you judgmental people out there that I've heard. Little fucking rant here before we get into top 5.
I need to have a music piece for that.
Because there's people out there who still are wanting HBO to redo Game of Thrones season 8. And so when he says you people, or when we say you people out there, that's for those negative people that always like to gripe on stuff.
Boxed minds.
So yeah. So I'm sorry. I just thought I'd get that out of the way for maybe new viewers, or when we say you people, that's what we mean.
All right. So number 5, I'm going to go straight into it. Is Terminator. The first Terminator.
Nice.
Now, don't get me wrong. It's not one of my biggest. I still like the film. It's in a top 5. I mean, when you've got an iconic line and I kind of think this made his career. Because don't get me wrong, you've got Conan, and I'm talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've got Conan, you've got different ones. However, right, but I mean, however, this is the one that I think made him. If he wasn't on this, he would just be some bodybuilder in movies every now and then. This is the one that said, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and this is what he has. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll be back. That was, finite. Right there, that's all he needed. One line got him famous. Truly.
So you're saying Terminator Genesis is your number 1?
I think I already stated the Terminator, original Terminator for that matter. Thank you, sir.
I'll dig into my number 5. My number 5 is going to be a tie, and I couldn't choose between the two because they're both good films. So I'll talk about the first one. So number 5 is going to be Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh, nice.
I love those films. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Benedict Cumberbatch. Is there anything negative to say about those 3 Star Trek films? Beyond was a little off, but to me, those 3 are some of the better Star Trek movies. Some of the older ones, it's kind of hard to sit through looking back at it. But I'm talking about Star Trek II, Into Darkness, from 2013. And then the movie that it's being tied with is Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. I couldn't choose between those 2 Star Trek movies.
Interesting. You have one that's fairly new and one that's really old.
Yeah.
So you kind
of... honestly, after Wrath of Khan, the series kind of went down. I don't think, and I'm talking about Wrath of Khan from 1982 compared to Into Darkness from 2013. I couldn't pick in between the 2.
Honestly, I'm not a big Star Trek fan, but I do like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
You see that? That's a door.
I like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Where?
Right here.
But yeah, that's a good number 5.
So that's mine. Star Trek. I couldn't choose between them 2. Zach, what do you got at number 5?
Number 5 for me is, I'm just gonna jump right in it. We talked about it yesterday. It's in your honorable mention, Aliens. If you want to talk about, you can listen to our bonus episode about Alien. I do talk about why I think Aliens is a little bit better than Alien.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's enjoyable. I think it's much more a fun film.
2 is better than 1.
Yeah.
So you got, and for everybody joining us for the top 5, because some people go through and just join us for the top 5. Where can they find all of our archive episodes? You can find them all on Facebook.com/MovieReels405, and that'll take you to the YouTube page, the Spotify page, the Podbean page. So if you want to look at yesterday's episode or listen to it, you can listen to that one, or you can go back on all the way to episode 1 and listen to the Psycho.
Yeah,
episode.
Definitely.
Those are some rough episodes. I don't know if anybody's went back and heard them.
I'm gonna visit that one here soon, just to reconnect.
It's a little rough. But Ed, what do you got at number 4?
Number 4, Planet of the Apes, and I'm talking about the one with Mr. Wahlberg in it. I like those a little bit more just because it felt a little more.
There's only one of those with Mark Wahlberg in it.
I know, but I'm just saying. the older ones. So
Oh, you don't like the old ones.
I do. I personally find them, they're kind of that B class, especially nowadays. They didn't age that well. However, I still like them. I think they're fascinating. I think it's kind of cool. I think the time, effort, and
Even Quest for the
all
Planet
that.
of the Apes.
I didn't say I liked all of them.
The
okay?
Charlton
I
Heston version is really good.
1 and 2.
Yeah. I haven't seen 2, I've just seen the first one, and I've seen the remake /
Oh, yeah.
trilogy that they did.
I just like it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a definite.
Oh, your official number 4 is the Tim Burton version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think the effort that went into a lot of that is amazing.
I will say the makeup was good.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like episode 3 or 4, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's kind of a sucky movie, but the effort that went into that thing is incredible.
This is true.
So I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, Avengers Endgame. I love the movie. I think it's one of the best I've seen.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
However, you see the effort that went into all the CGI effects and all that, but it wasn't going in and putting a prop in front of a camera and getting the right angle, which I know we don't have at the moment, but let us play, we'll get it.
We'll get there.
Well, it's definitely, I will say, that version of Planet of the Apes is definitely Tim Burton's vision
Right.
of the story.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just Tim Burton. Maybe I just like the guy. I don't
That's
know.
good.
I mean,
He was
I
on
do like
he
Tim
was
Burton.
on the director top 5.
Yeah, I do like Tim
In
Burton.
the Directors episode.
A good Tim Burton movie is really, really good, okay? You know what I'm saying?
My number
Okay.
4 is going to be a Steven Spielberg movie dubbed E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Old school classic, Drew Barrymore's first.
Yep,
There you go.
from 1982.
It was a snub of the Oscars. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, it was.
That's true. So, what else can you say about E.T.? It's a classic. If that movie doesn't get you teary-eyed,
You have no soul.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So number 4 for me is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Zach, what about you? What do you got at number 4?
Okay, so number 4, I'm going to go a little bit old school with this. I'm going to go all the way back to, let me see when this movie came out.
1996.
1927.
Gosh,
So,
it was way back there.
I'm talking about a little movie called Metropolis.
Hmm.
It is, I can give like a quick
Because some
plot. Because
people out there weren't alive during that movie.
I mean, that's almost
None of
literally
us were alive.
100 years ago.
Yeah. In a futuristic city sharply divided between the working class and the city planners, the son of the city's mastermind falls in love with a working class prophet who predicts the coming of a savior to mitigate their differences. It's basically like, it was for a long time, it was on Netflix, it's on YouTube. It is a very incredible film, like probably The Robot. You probably recognized that before.
Yeah, I've seen that at the video store.
Mm-hmm.
Actually saw that yesterday at a vintage stock.
Guys, if you haven't checked this out, I mean, it is long. It's 2 hours and 33 minutes, but it's...
Is it a silent film?
Yes, it is. I know that's going to turn a lot of people off, but just watch like the masterwork that's done with like the models and the city and the futuristic design of it.
And
It's truly incredible.
That's just like Salem's Lot. I thought that, Nosferatu, you are a creepy bastard when you want to be.
And there is some creepy imagery in this film.
Oh, I'm sure, because don't get me wrong, it kind of started cultivating its way back in the teens and 20s.
Ed, what do you got set at number 3?
Number 3, okay. I'm going to put, and I know a lot of people are going to be pissed, but I'm going to put the entire Star Wars franchise. I don't know, I can't really pick a favorite. On the prequels, I love the battles, I love the there's so much to love aesthetically about the prequels that it's not even funny. Now, the sequels, 4, 5, and 6, of course, the original 3 Star Wars films, you have the lore, the mythological, hardcore, legendary characters. So that's always great. And then the newer ones, you've got different things, different worlds, different aspects, different aesthetics. You've got the aesthetics mixed with the old legendary characters. So I'm going to put the entire Star Wars, and I can't wait for the Rise of Skywalker.
Number 3 for me is going to be a film from 2011, directed by J.J. Abrams, and that is Super 8.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one.
I really enjoyed that movie. It's during the summer of 1979, a group of friends witness a train crash and investigate pretty much the unexplained events of their small town. And it's got a really good cast, I think. Ellie Fanning is in it. Yeah. And then Kyle Chandler. You know what? That guy doesn't get some recognition.
He doesn't.
He's
such
not
good
a terrible actor.
No.
Yeah.
If I know you don't watch, I don't think you guys have ever seen Friday Night Lights.
I like
show.
the movie. I don't like the TV series.
He's really good in the TV show. And ironically, I was thinking about this. He was actually in the Peter Jackson remake of King Kong.
Yeah. I do enjoy I enjoy everything about the film. All the way from its the feel, all the way until the ending. And you know what I like about it is it has an old school feeling where you hardly see the monster.
Yeah.
So that makes you just imagine even more.
And the thing about it is, I know he's an executive producer on the film, but it feels like a Spielberg film.
Yeah.
It's like paying homage to E.T. or Rehab or
even
one of his other films.
Yeah, that's true. So that's my number 3.
All right, so my number 3 is a film it's an animated film actually. It'll be 11 years this year actually. WALL-E, Disney Pixar WALL-E.
Yeah.
Little robot, futuristic. Basically, there's no one left on Earth, and he's kind of like a collector of trash. And this sophisticated robot comes, and he falls in love. It's
chasing ass.
It's a fun film. It's a cute film. And probably, what do you guys think? Maybe top 5 for Pixar?
Oh yeah, definitely a top 5 for Pixar. Ed, what do you got at number 2?
Number 2. Y'all probably gonna look at me crazy. Y'all probably are. Starship Troopers.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is probably the perfect sci-fi B-rated movie, I guess you'd say. However, I think, personally, we've got someone like Neil Patrick frickin' Harris in this thing. How can you go wrong with that guy? I know he's not the main guy. I know he's not the main character. But it is hilarious, his transition, and how they fight the bugs, and how they go. It's an awesome, weird flick.
Yeah,
it really
I
is.
enjoy it.
So,
That's actually in 4K, believe it or not.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Have you seen all how many sequels are there? 4, I think?
5 of them.
Including the animated film?
I'm just going with number 1, personally.
The guy who's in it, his main name is Johnny. It's
Johnny.
Johnny. So that's your number 2?
Yes.
Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Number 2 for me is tough, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977, directed by one Steven A. Spielberg. I don't know if his middle initial is A, but I'm giving it to him anyway. Because that just sounds badass, right?
Yeah, it does.
Steven A. Spielberg.
You think we should send a letter saying he should change his name to Steven A. Spielberg?
We should.
You might tell us to fuck off.
So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977. What else can you say? That's one of the movies. There's probably 20 of them that I have that I've owned on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K. And it's been every single transfer that comes out is better than the one before. So if you guys are wanting to really dig into sci-fi out there, and you just want that old school classic feel, go watch this movie because it's amazing.
Agreed.
Zach, what do you got for number 2?
So my number 2 is probably going to create a little bit of controversy, but I like this one more than the original. And it's a film that when I saw it, I didn't think I was going to like it. I liked who's in it, but I didn't think I was going to like it personally just because it's 2 hours and 45, almost 3 hours damn near long. My number 2 is Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, amazing. That almost made my top 5.
It's so beautiful to look at. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford and Jared Leto. The reason I'm not going to say the visuals are better than the first one, because the first one still has incredible visuals. I think it's maybe just Ryan Gosling, maybe. It's just someone that I can't relate to him, honestly, because he's much more attractive than I am. But, I don't know, I like that film better than the original.
It's what's on the inside that counts, bud.
Thank you.
I'm an ugly bastard, so that's what I tell myself when I cry myself to sleep at night.
And that's our therapy session for the episode.
Ed, what do you got at number 1?
You've already kind of taken it from me, Johnny. Number 1, I'd say Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Personally, you know, that little entry or the first true encounter, I've got to say it's one of my favorite things. When they're playing the with the lights, that is amazing. I love that little scene. So
He loves that little scene. Number 1 for me is going to be Ed. You kind of stole it from me too. You little facial expression doll there. You is going to be, but it's a different version of what you had. Mine's going to be the brand new trilogy of the Planet of the Apes movies. The one the one from
no, James Franco does amazing.
2011 to 2000.
2011 to 2017, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes.
Which one do you like the best out of the 3?
And I mean, don't get me wrong, Draco Malfoy's in it. Tom Felton.
He's in the first one. I'm going to have to say
Heck, yeah.
War of the Planet of the Apes.
War.
The third, I guess, final battle is, I don't think it gets any better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of how you should end a trilogy.
I do think it's. I'd go so far to say it's probably one of the best trilogies out there.
Yeah. Just because the way it goes from 1, 2 to 3. The one thing I like about it, even though the directors change.
For the first one.
But even though that happens, I love the story it tells.
Mm-hmm.
When you can tell a story and keep it that way for over 3 films,
yeah,
to me that's what makes a trilogy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get dumb. It doesn't flop or anything in between 1 and 2 and 3.
And one of the things I also love about it is that other than the apes and Caesar and his colony, all the humans change.
Yeah. From
film to film, you have James Franco in the first one, Jason Clarke in the second one, and Woody Harrelson in the third. And I mean, those 3 right there. I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, what I like about why though they change but the apes don't is because it's not about the humans.
No, it's not.
It's about it's about the
Right.
apes, and it's about Caesar, and it's about the way he just controls the entire squad.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
and how in the bleep did Andy Serkis not win an Oscar for that?
That's what I was about to get on my rant.
Here we go.
Because I have a feeling that I don't know. I mean, it didn't win any kind of major Oscars as far as visual effects or anything like that. And I think he got one for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And he got one for another one.
I think he got one for Kong. I think.
That's probably true. But I know he got one for multiple Lord of the Rings movies, 1 or 2, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
So.
But he's never won like a acting award for anything, which is crazy.
And I kind of, I mean, we might have to look up on this, but why can he not get an Oscar for being, why can he not be considered Best Actor for a lead role for playing Caesar? Why?
Because
if anything, he's got to work twice as hard because all he has is the facial expressions.
Well, he came out and said, look, at this point, it's digital makeup. And then the animators got mad and said, no, it takes a lot to translate your face into an ape's face. And so there's kind of like, you could do like, they can make like a category in the Oscars like best
voiceovers.
Best voiceovers, best CGI performance, something that could at least give him credit.
Yeah.
So, because he could have won for that. He could have won for King Kong. He probably should have won for Gollum, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
That's my number 1, rounding out the top 5. Zach, what do you got for number 1?
My number 1 is one that I'm surprised both of you didn't have on their top 5. My number 5 is 2010's Inception.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, what can you say about it? It's incredible.
Inception to me, and I think it deserves its own episode one day.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that, if you have to pick a negative movie out of Christopher Nolan's films, let me tell you something. Hold on a second.
Whoa. Okay.
If there's one that you can choose, I think it's that one.
The negative?
if there's one that you like, probably not one of his better works. It's just a different kind of film compared to what he usually does. It's one that didn't get it's not critically acclaimed, if you will.
It was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, but as far as the movies go that he liked or that he did, to me it's a great film, but out of all the stuff he did, it probably wouldn't make my top 5.
That's been our top 5, guys. We'll be right back.
What about you, Ed? You finished out your top 5?
Yeah.
Time to get a little bit of meat and potatoes. So, when we get back, we're going to dig right into, it would be, today we are watching The Watchmen, since nobody else will. Main portion of the show, which we like, we're going to sit here and we're going to review the film, we're going to talk about the special editions we watched, and we are talking about 2009's Watchmen. Watchmen was a film from 2009. Runtime is 2 hours and 42 minutes, unless you watch the director's cut, which is then 3 hours and 5 minutes. And then the version you watched, Ed, the ultimate cut, is 3 hours and 35 minutes.
Yep.
Had a March 6th release date of 2009. Guys, this was probably the darkest movie DC had ever done, and probably one of the bigger films that Zack Snyder got to direct. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if it's by mistake, but I enjoy Zack Snyder's work. I enjoy a lot of Zack Snyder's work, to be honest with you. Like I said, I don't know if it's just out of the blue why, but I do own Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, Legends of the Guardians, the Owl movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League. So I guess that's his entire filmography.
As of right now.
I don't know, but I enjoy all of his work. And both of you guys have watched it for the first time this week. So I'm going to get some quick thoughts on you guys. But no, I mean, to me, it's a great film. I enjoy Watchmen. It stars Jackie Earle Haley, Patrick Wilson, Carla, is it Gugino? Billy Crudup, Matthew Good, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Guys, I enjoy the hell out of this movie. But we'll go round table discussion, and Zach, I know your first time was this week, so what's first thoughts on it?
I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it. Well, I'll save more in-depth conversation when we get a little bit farther into it. I liked it.
It was alright. I mean, I had a few parts that I liked. There was a few that I did not, but overall, it wasn't a bad movie at all. I liked it overall.
this will be the second or third film this podcast has done a 3 hour, like as far as a 3 hour movie goes.
Yeah.
I know we did Watchmen, or not Watchmen, we did Endgame.
Yeah.
I know Watchmen, but as of now, I can think, I guess it's just the two that we've done.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everything else has been about 2 hours, hour 40.
So I don't know about you guys, but to me, this movie kind of just flies by for a 3 hour film. Poor Ed. You can't really say much because you poor bastard. You watched the ultimate cut.
You went one step above us. Buddy.
Yeah, which that was my fault because I thought the ultimate cut. I didn't know the ultimate cut included over 35 minutes of animated stuff.
Right.
Which that's my fault. So,
You're good.
But as far as the actual, theatrical and the director's cut go, I mean, to me, it goes by quick. Some notes that I want to talk about right quick as far as the movie goes is the opening scene. We're not going to go scene by scene.
Okay. You're talking about the comedian's death?
The death of the comedian at the beginning of the movie. First off, from what I've seen, is Zack Snyder wanted to open it up with that scene and that hardcore of a fucking just badass fight to give audiences the tone of what the movie will be. Wow, I did not expect Jeffrey Dean Morgan to go that fast, or the comedian, because if you read the graphic novel, the comedian is a big part of the graphic novel, and I mean his death.
Well, I mean, to say Jeffrey Dean Morgan is not in the movie is kind of an understatement. I mean, he's probably like 50% of the film because it cuts off and then goes off to another storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's in it, but like you said, Juan, for them to kill him off like that quick.
But
surprising.
The graphic novel has been, highly praised by some of the biggest names in comic book and graphic novel.
How did you describe it to me yesterday, Juan?
They call it the Godfather of graphic novels. It is almost 300 pages, and I don't know, but a lot of the graphic novels and comic books I know of are, 40, 50, 60 pages.
Right.
So there would be almost 300 pages of pure kick-ass comic book graphic novel scenes and great storytelling in the graphic novel. The graphic novel's huge, but I want to talk about the soundtrack. I don't know about you guys, but the soundtrack to me is Suicide Squad-esque.
Yeah, it was
you could say
definitely
that. It's
good.
kind of like that in Guardians type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys impressed first watch? I mean, what about we'll go around table. You guys can kind of talk about it yourselves. Zach, what do you think?
Okay. Juan, I know how much you love this movie.
Go for it.
I didn't hate it. I don't hate this movie. My grade is going to reflect that I actually enjoyed watching it. I just think I probably should have watched the theatrical cut, just the 2 hour and 45-minute one, because in the director's cut, especially, I don't know how you got through it, Ed, to be honest. It just drags at points where I feel like some of this stuff could just be cut out altogether.
Now, from what I understand, that the director's cut is pretty much him adding his deleted scenes.
Yeah, basically.
So it's not like it's not like Justice League, or Batman versus Superman, where the director's cut makes it better.
Yeah.
In this case, the director's cut kind of makes it just drag.
Yeah.
Because he threw in his deleted scenes.
Exactly.
Like the death of the older Night Owl. That's not in the theatrical cut.
Oh.
Yeah, because that you could have cut out. You could have just said he had died off screen or something.
Yeah, see, that was one of the few things that I truly didn't like was what the hell. Because don't get me wrong, if they had led to where the new Night Owl or the current Owl or whatever had beat the hell out of all of the gang, I would have understood that. It would have been something. Nothing ever happened except for the one guy. That's it. That's all that happened. The one guy in the bar and nothing.
Right.
You killed off the character for, literally, he held his own for a minute, but, when you're probably, in your 70s, 80s, you can only, even when you're very powerful still.
And then the Japanese samurai gang, I don't think that was in the theatrical cut either.
Well, and, that character, the older Night Owl, he's only in the movie altogether for maybe, what'd you say, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And so, like, yeah, I get what you're saying, Juan. It's different from, like, this is Zack Snyder just telling the complete story he wants to tell. Do a side-by-side by Batman versus Superman Ultimate Edition.
But
it makes the movie better.
But I don't think the Blu-ray. Now I don't. You have this. You did you rent it?
Yeah.
Or you rented the standard Blu-ray edition, which has the director's cut.
Yeah.
Did it have the theatrical cut on Blu-ray too, or no?
I don't think it did because it just went straight into the director's cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there in podcast land, the Blu-ray edition I don't think has a theatrical cut unless you watch the DVD. I think this was one of those ones where they tried to get people to buy the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, if you want the director's cut, you have to go out and buy the Blu-ray. If you want the theatrical cut, it's on the DVD release.
Well, and I think
because in 2009
I think Blu-ray was just starting off in 2009.
Yeah, but in 2009 they were trying to get everybody that they could to buy Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So
so it was basically a marketing scheme of like, hey, you want more of the movie, pay a little bit more money, you can get
the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the for everybody out there in podcast land, we're going to open it up and show you the 4K copy. It has the 4K copy of the film right here, and then it's got the special features Blu-ray, and then the Blu-ray director's cut is in the tube right now. So I think it's a good buy. The only thing I didn't like is the complete on 4K. If you want to watch the movie in 4K, you have to watch the ultimate cut. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the director's cut on 4K. So this is actually the Blu-ray release right here. And we started it a little bit early, so the kind of scene that we're looking at right now is honestly the comedian, and he's tearing up because... Why is he tearing up, Zach?
Something that he's been told that is going to play a future plot-wise later into the film, basically.
But I like the way the film opens up with the battle scene, the comedian dying, getting tossed out that big-ass plate glass window.
And here's the thing for me, that sequence and the opening credits of like the slow-mo of kind of like the history of the Watchmen, I really like that. I was like, okay, I might actually really enjoy this.
And so, I mean, the one thing online, if you go out there and read online, some of the negative reviews about the film is that it's even some people think the 2-hour and 42-minute film kind of drags. That's just Zack Snyder loved and respects the graphic novel so much that he didn't want to take out a lot of scenes from the graphic novel. So he puts in as much as he can, and he literally puts most of it in.
Which I mean, I can appreciate that. That's just the artist trying to
Ed, what about
tell
you?
the complete story.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I did watch a bit of a longer.
Taking the animated scenes out of the movie. What did you? I mean, go ahead and explain what you were talking about.
There was a few that was unnecessary.
Because I was going to say, if anybody can respect, putting a lot of stuff from the book into a film, I think it would. I thought it would have been you.
No. I thought it was a good story. I thought it was a great, but you didn't need to kill off the old one. You didn't the old Night Owl or Owl or whatever have you. You didn't really Rorschach's death. I get.
I was surprised. That really surprised me.
Don't get me wrong. I do get it. However, I didn't truly think it was extremely necessary.
Why?
Well,
we'll talk. We'll kind of cut in between. Like, what do you think about that scene?
It really surprised me. Like, I kind of, like you said, Ed, I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it didn't need to happen.
I mean,
they could have spared him. Basically,
if Dr. Manhattan is so practically
a god, basically
all powerful, why couldn't he just wipe his memory of the last 45 minutes or the last day? Wipe his fucking memory and boom, he would have been on detective mode still, just trying to figure out what the hell happened, and it already happened. They've kicked the bad guy's ass. Good to go.
Instead, he looks like a Tide Pod exploded.
Yeah.
What did you guys think the first time you see this week? You both watched it for the first time.
Yes.
What did you guys think of the character Dr. Manhattan?
I liked him.
I did like him, other than the fact that the guy parades around butt ass naked.
Yeah.
ding dong going all the way over, and But other than that, that's the. I mean, like this scene right here. Here's 4 of them just hoya hoya. That was a little weird, little bit kind of like over the top crap. But I mean, whatever. It's part of the story.
Is that in the graphic novel? I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. But I mean, other than that, I like the character. One of them that I will say is the villain who used to be one of the heroes.
I thought he was a shitty villain.
How about
Contraire Pierre.
Hold on.
This is one thing that makes him, I think, one of the best villains.
Ed, you explain yours,
Whoa. Okay, go ahead.
and then
go
you
ahead.
explain why Zach
Okay.
he could have been a different villain.
Okay, and there's one simple thing. One simple thing.
By the way, I want to point out
That's
that this is the first episode where we all 3 have different points of the film.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the reason I think he's the best, one of the best villains I've seen in a long time, excluding Thanos, is simply because instead of monologuing and then doing his shit, and then basically like, oh, okay, there's the death plan, haha, gotcha, bitch. Oh, no, I didn't. He just basically went, okay, TikTok, 30 minutes later, hey, how's it going, folks? Yeah, it's already done. Gotcha, bitch.
So
What's up?
Explain, people out there who haven't seen it.
He basically has Dr. Manhattan pretty much. Okay, he's the smartest man alive. Okay, so he basically is smarter than Dr. Manhattan in the technical sense.
And in the film, Dr. Manhattan says he can see his future. He can't see everybody else's.
So
Right.
what he uses is tachyons to block out part of that. So, with that being said, tachyons interfere with Dr. Manhattan's future sense, basically. Third eye, if you will. So, with that being said, I've got to say, he done it as good as I can think for a villain to do. He fucked with one of the most powerful in anything I've ever seen, for that matter, comic or otherwise, iterations of a hero, okay, or a being, I should say. Now, the thing with that is what I'm saying is he didn't wait for them to all come up and then start doing his crap. He just did it. He just set his plan in motion.
Pretty much you like how he outsmarted everybody,
And he
and
didn't
then
mess
when
around.
he got caught, he didn't bullshit.
No, he didn't procrastinate
What
at all.
What about Zach? Okay, so we heard why Ed likes him and why he thinks he's a pretty good
wrong.
villain.
That's the simple one reason.
What about you, Zach?
All those things are there. I'm not discrediting you about that. I just, in the grand, like, when you say best villains of all time, excluding Thanos, I kind of think that I feel like his motivations are not clearly there. I think he's just doing it just for the hell of it. Like, he's just tired of the team, so he's just going to wipe them out, basically, or wipe out humanity.
He pretty much did want to do a wipeout of humanity because he saw it as not going in a good direction.
Almost like a Thanos.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. But he wanted to wipe out everything.
Yeah.
But, like, see, like, the villain that kind of comes to mind is Killmonger from Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan's character.
Okay, yeah.
I think Jordan's not so much Jordan's portrayal as Killmonger in the writing of Killmonger is that he not only does he want to reveal Wakanda to the world because they have all this technology that can save us, but he has like a personal history because of it. Like, you killed my dad, so I'm going to come after you full force.
Right.
This is just kind of like, I don't like humanity, so I'm just going to wipe them out.
So your reason was for there not being much of a motive.
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
Well,
just in my opinion, it's just there's
Right,
not
right,
much
right.
of a motive for me.
I feel that there is just because he's seen the bad and the good, and war after war after war after war after war, and that's basically, in all reality, that's all that humanity has done.
I kind of agree with both. I like him how he's just balls out. I'm going to do what I want. And then if I did have one negative about the film, it's because there is really no motive for him to just wipe everybody out, other than maybe he thought, hey, I'm going to wipe everybody out, I already have Dr. Manhattan to be my god, and maybe we can recreate a whole new world.
Yeah, because there was a point before kind of
He can be the Jesus, and Dr. Manhattan could almost be God.
yeah, who is it Laurie Malin Ackerman's character?
Yes.
Yeah.
She kind of convinces him like, no, this is not the way, because he was like full ready just to wipe everything out. So
Because he basically was going away, and you're talking about Dr. Manhattan, right?
yeah, when he's
He
on
was-
Mars setting up that machine.
Yeah.
He was basically like, well, you're the one thing that had gave me a connection to the Earth.
So, you both like Dr. Manhattan. You both are 50-50 on Smartest Man Alive. Let's talk about somebody who sold a lot of merchandise when this movie came out, and that's Rorschach.
Ooh,
Yeah, I love Rorschach.
Everybody loved Rorschach in the film when the movie opened up 10 years ago.
Although I will say, guy with the sign, the homeless red-haired guy, I was like, who the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Who is this guy? You know. And then
What
I
about?
was just like,
So when you guys saw the little kid and his mom getting abused throughout the movie, and then you saw the homeless guy with the sign, did you guys put two and two together, or did it not? You know, when
I
you
did
finally,
not.
No. What about you,
No.
Zach?
Well,
You might
I
have
know-
kind
I
of
know-
did some research.
not so. I mean, I know who Jackie Earl Haley is. I know who he looks like. So it's just like, oh, those two. And I know
That's
he
true.
plays Rorschach. So I was like, okay.
And see, that's why I kind of like going into a movie like this blindly, because I had no idea who
That's
anyone was.
So you went into it and you didn't know really much about the actor, and then you didn't know that he played Rorschach. So when when Rorschach got taken down to the ground and the mask came off, you're like, oh fuck.
Well, honestly, one thing that's funny is that in the trailer, he wasn't Rorschach. There was a whole different person playing him in the trailer, and there was a bet between $100 bet between Deborah and Zack Snyder, husband and wife, basically going around that, and she actually won because she said nobody would notice. People noticed, or she said that people would notice. Zack said that they wouldn't. She won.
So going into some of the older Watchmen characters, what did you guys think of? You know, Zach, you said you loved the opening scene explaining the history.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to talk about is on the Warner Brothers exclusive Blu-ray copy, you can see the timeline when you watch the Zack Snyder edition. He sits there and explains to you, like there's a scene that talks about, is it
75, I think.
Well, there's yeah.
I just saw like a
new.
glimpse, like a
Like
quick glimpse of it. So
75 for the new, or no, it's
75
gonna be
for our
with
world.
the 60s to 70s because that I'm pretty sure was Vietnamese War,
Yeah.
and then it's got to be between the 30s and 40s, and maybe even a bit of the 50s for
Well-
the old one because that was part of W2.
In the timeline, in the movie, the timeline pops up, and it explains what's going on in their world compared to our world. Like in 1939 when Batman was published.
Yeah, the
39.
30s, yeah.
In the 30s, it shows, hey, this was published, you know, Batman, and then and this happened. They had this thing with Watchmen, so it shows their timeline compared to our real timeline.
Right.
How it's got the Kennedy assassination. You know, in their timeline, the comedian did it.
Yeah, which is funny. Yeah.
What did you guys think of those kind of historical references throughout the whole movie? Like I enjoyed it. It's like this in the graphic novel too, how our history is around this movie, and they take their spin on everything.
I've always, a lot of people get tired of that trope in film, but I enjoy it because they do it with this. They do it with Forrest Gump. Like he's there observing
Oh
the
yeah.
different top points in history.
Yeah.
They kind of do it with the Transformers, especially. Well, you haven't seen it last night, so they do it with that, and it's if you can do it right and you can do it fun like this, I don't have a problem with it. You know, but if you're just saying like, oh, Transformers was there with King Arthur, I was like, what? But anyway.
So let's go back to Dr. Manhattan. Revisiting this movie, I've seen it now over 7 or 8 times, probably maybe closer to 10. Revisiting again this week for this episode, I watched it in a completely different aspect and felt really, really bad for Dr. Manhattan this time around. What did you guys think of his backstory whenever it, explained? And I wanted to point out, this movie does an amazing job at giving everybody's backstory.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it
another
does.
reason why it's almost 3 hours long because it's got to share and it gives you the backstory, stuff like that, where it's wing. There's small things like that in the movie that you see. I don't know if there's one where the comedian shoots somebody while he's riding over an American flag. If you guys remember that, and they're talking about the 51st country.
It just 51st state.
Yeah.
It just actually came across the screen about 20 minutes ago.
So to me, this movie does an excellent job of giving everybody's backstory in the film, and you get Rorschach's, you get Dr. Manhattan, you get the comedian, you kind of get Night Owls, and then you get what's her name?
Lori
and her
Silk
mom.
Spectre and Silk Spectre, and I forgot the daughter's name.
Isn't it Jupiter? Is it something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of Dr. Manhattan and how it explained his love life into his action? We'll start with you.
Truthfully, I kind of lost hope with the guy. I was kind of like, okay, cool, he's the coolest. There's got to be something around this guy that's like huge, whether albeit his backstory.
Oh, there's something about it that's huge.
It didn't look that huge to me. Somewhere around there. Now, with it going back to the story or the scenes that we're actually seeing now, it kind of shows, what happened, who he is in love with, why she came up, said she had cancer and all that. And then on top of that, it actually gone into where and how and when and all that.
Yeah.
And then you feel kind of bad for him because, now you kind of feel with her, okay, yeah, I gotcha. It explains she, came from one of his friends and he met her that way.
So you did the character, did you enjoy,
I did. After that, I did. But before that, I liked it. I liked him, but it was just kind of like, one of the things is why does he have to be naked? Like, to me, I get.
It's
maybe
the 70s, man. It's the 80s. He's free spirit. He's got to let it fly.
Maybe it's the fact that he is omniscient, omnipresent, and all-knowing, basically.
I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is true, but there's talk about how the writers of the graphic novel thought that they wrote him in as a godlike character,
basically,
and they were like, if God was in his indoors of heaven, this is probably how he'd walk around.
Well, that's what I was about to talk about. Since biting of the apple and all that.
We also have to look at this graphic novel. The graphic novel came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
a lot of what's in the graphic novel is just a representation of what was going on in that time.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe since he has all that knowledge, he doesn't think he has to walk around feeling ashamed.
Zach, what about you, Dr. Manhattan? Was he one of your favorite? What did you think about Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah, I think he's one of the probably top 3 characters in the movie. Honestly, when you kind of think about it, it's just kind of like a Hulk situation.
Yeah.
He basically
like that.
Hulk Hogan or
yes, Hulk Hogan, the Marvel Hulk.
Okay.
He fell in love with this girl, and I like the backstory of he's just like this scientist dude that thinks he has it all together, and then he has this freak accident and he's blue.
Well,
but the thing is the way they set it up is like he gets told that she has cancer and his friends has cancer because just him being around him. Later we're gonna find out that it was kind of like a setup.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of him, the experiment that makes him abnormal is ultimately what kills him.
And I like how he explains it as, I experienced fear for the last time.
Yeah.
And
he's not a human anymore,
right.
Basically.
His body completely just how
pretty much it did what he does to everybody else. They're his ultimate weapon. He implodes them.
Did you guys enjoy how graphic it was as far as like blood and how graphic it really was as far as all that goes?
I think it was kind of something that was more of this is what real superheroes in real life would be like, and that was kind of a narrative of how would they? Would there be bloodshed? Would there not be bloodshed? You know, and I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're imploding someone, or if you're going in and ripping someone apart, you're going to see everything come out: skull, spine, blood, vessels, everything. So you
And
know,
sorry, I did.
no, you're fine.
I like how the visuals of this Doctor Manhattan just kind of being incinerated, like layer by layer of the human body. I think that's kind of cool.
It was crazy because I mean that's another thing I'm talking about right there. You know, when later on in the movie when he gets blown apart or whatever, he says that's the first thing I learned how to do was put myself back together. Kind of what we're actually seeing now with vessels and everything, or nerve endings, I should say, and everything like that. And then here with skeletal system, muscle system, and all that. You know,
which looks like like a son of a gun.
well,
Well,
I
your
can imagine.
fibers and all your muscles and blood is just kind of going back to what it's supposed to be.
You know, imagine getting taken apart piece by piece by piece, having your veins ripped from you. That'd be extremely odd. So with this, it's he's kind of
Massive.
an ultimate human, I guess you'd say, in aspect. So
This movie, as far as DC goes, and we've done it now 38 weeks in a row. We got our DC plug of the day. This is different from all the other superhero movies. How different do you think this could have been if they published this graphic novel and DC didn't pick it up in the 80s? Do you think it maybe still would have gotten published? And if so, I don't think a lot of people would probably have eyes on it.
No, I think if DC hadn't picked this up, I think what's that one comic book creator?
Comic-Con?
No,
Or Capcom?
no, Dark Horse.
Yeah.
It would be. This looks like a Dark Horse comic almost.
Are you surprised that it's a DC release and DC picked it up?
Yeah.
Because if you think if you think this is graphic, the graphic novel is just dirty.
I don't. Honestly, DC has the reputation of they're much more edgier, they're much more graphic, they're much more darker with Batman and their characters. While Marvel is much more of like everything is happy, Captain America and all them.
Hey, look, we're gonna kill all these guys, and it's still gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I just think this is one of the better DC told stories outside the Dark Knight and outside Batman films.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed this better than maybe some of the original like Man of Steel. Definitely some of the original Superman movies.
Do you think this is Zack Snyder's masterpiece, or his best film?
Out of the superhero movies he did,
everything.
People are going to get on him because a lot of people would say 300.
I honestly think 300 is kind of overrated.
But I enjoy Watchmen. I think Watchmen is probably the better superhero movie that he did. Honestly, I think it's better than Justice League and BVS and Man of Steel. So I do think that that's probably my favorite Zack Snyder film, is Watchmen. So leading into it, we're not going to go scene by scene because this is literally a 3-hour and 5-minute movie. If you want to talk about the director's cut, what about some favorite scenes? Ed, do you have any favorite scenes?
Rorschach was definitely a favorite character, so I've got to go probably when he got jailed and got against the two big dudes. And I've seen him in so many movies, parody movies usually, but I forget the
shorter actor.
Yes, I forget his name.
I know who you're talking about. He was he's the bad elf in Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And he was also in he's been in a couple parody movies, I know. But yes, that would be probably my favorite scene with a hero. I would say that the villain favorite scene was probably when he, already done his plan. That era of the scene, or that culmination of scenes right there, I thought was really good too. So.
I'll do mine right off the hand. I do want to mention one scene. It's one of my favorites, but it's not the favorite. I'm going to mention the death of the comedian.
Mm-hmm.
That opening is, besides maybe the bank robbery spot in The Dark Knight, Can you guys name maybe a better way to start off a superhero film?
Not off the top of my head.
I mean, you don't know who's doing the attack. The body blows and the fight sequence is so hardcore. Going through the table, you hear every punch. And then maybe just the tossing out the window, the happy face with the blood on it, and then going into the song by Bob Dylan and the sequence of the older Watchmen. That opening scene right there, to me, gets me every time. I enjoy the hell out of it. And then if I had to pick maybe a favorite fight scene, would be when Rorschach's in the lunch line.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he tosses that hot grease on that guy.
Fried grease.
Yeah. To me, that's a
that don't feel good.
That's a good scene.
I've
then
had
you had. Oh, I was going to say, somebody threw hot grease on you.
Well, I used one of the places I used to work at a few years ago. They actually came up with one of the fried baskets.
Fuck them.
And pretty much weren't paying attention, trying to do all too much and trying to move way too fast. And she basically, at the last, it would have been a facial impact, but at the last second I seen it and threw my arm up like that, and it just hit all here for like 2 seconds, and then it didn't feel good. I kept moving and kept working.
That would be one of my favorite scenes as far as maybe a fight scene goes. And then I do enjoy the when it goes back and you see the comedian be in that dirty, downright asshole in all the fights and war scenes, especially in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy those sequences as well. So, Zach, do you have any favorite scenes? Or you have a favorite. You said Rorschach. I'm going to say the comedian, and what about you? Do you have a favorite character plus the scene?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Silk Spectre was pretty cool too.
I liked Lori. I think she was a good character. I think she's a strong female character. Her sequence of trying to save the pedestrians in the fire, I think was a good scene. But yeah, I did like the opening with the comedian and the opening credits scene. There was a sequence a little bit earlier that we watched or was playing was the alley fight scene with Lori and the Birdman, I guess you would say. Dan, I think his name, Owlman. That, talk about like your show graphic, the arm being split open to the bone and blood going out. And I will say that I like the reveal of the comedian is her father.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Well, I thought it was a little weird, especially with this scene.
It's 11 years old.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie in 10 years.
I thought it was a little odd once you find that out, especially with this scene that we were watching where he kind of, honestly, in my eyes, he's hitting on her a little bit.
He's probably trying to. He doesn't know who she is at that point.
Well, I didn't know this. Literally just now watching this is that the mom has the same mold that Lori has. I didn't pick up on that.
Until he says it.
Yeah, and then like if I had known earlier, like what I know now, it's like, oh duh, that type of thing.
And also, I like the reference throughout the movie about the doomsday clock, which is something people still talk about to this day.
Which
still midnight. We're not gonna get political.
No,
we don't talk about today.
Well, I do. There's just one thing I want to talk about.
Go for it.
Something that kind of like jumped at me the whole entire time, especially with this set with the Nixon's cabinet. Do you think they were paying homage to Dr. Strangelove?
Probably.
It's like it kind of has like that feel and like it's always kind of like a goofy sense of mind, especially with Harry Kissinger and all that.
Yeah, and you also have to look back. Zack Snyder is a student of the game.
Yeah,
that's one thing I appreciate of Mr. Snyder is he knows his fucking history. And he knows exactly what he wants, when he wants, and he's a huge comic book nerd. That's why I think.
That's why he did the.
Hold on a second. It's rant time.
Here we go.
Because he's just watching this movie is bittersweet for me because I enjoyed how he put it together, and for those of you who watch the Warner Brothers special cut that's on the Blu-ray. You see how excited he gets when he talks about this movie, when he talks about superhero movies, when he talks about graphic novels. So I was really disappointed when I watched it because you know why? I'm not going to get him at the helm of some DC superhero movies anymore. I mean, it's a sad day when people bitch about movies so bad to where the Warner Brothers and the executive producers and just the top dogs say, hey, we don't want you to come back.
I will say this though. I will say this. Regardless of what you think about Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and Justice League, it's his vision.
Yeah.
I will say that. That's his vision of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess not a lot of people like it. That's the only
Which
thing I
is
can
sad
say.
that they even get a chance to choose, to be honest. I know it sounds rude and I know it sounds mean, but at the end of the day, do you think the directors and producers were upset and took it out on William Shatner or Leonard Nimoy when Star Trek didn't bring in a ton of money at the box office?
No, but that's a bit different. They
How is
actually
it different?
they were trying to make something.
What do you mean?
It wasn't just about money and box office records and shit like that. They didn't have.
It's even
you
worse
know,
now.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's about money now. It wasn't about the actual series, the subject.
They weren't worried about telling a story. They were worried about making money, basically.
Then?
Yeah.
Well, if that was the case, then they fucked up because those Star Trek movies did nothing at the box office.
Nope.
But they continued to bring them back for 7, 8, 9 films.
And they're still making them.
Different cast, I mean.
Yeah.
Right,
But
but I
those
mean, like,
movies in the 80s and 70s, those are some tough Star Trek movies to go through. I really just would have liked to see how Zack Snyder finished out the DC films. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson is going to do a hell of a job.
I like Matt Reeves, so I think.
And for everybody still complaining about Robert Pattinson, if all you know him for is
Oh, here we go.
Twilight,
He's
Go-
done other things.
exactly, go watch some other movies. Please, good time.
He's not just Senor Eduardo.
Red box it, YouTube it, find good time, and check the guy out. He's a hell of an actor.
Water. I mean, this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but Water for Elephants. I think he was really good in that.
Cosmopolitan or he's got some acting chops.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting looking forward on to seeing what DC does. But as far as like the past, if you Dark Knight, I know the trilogy ended in 2012.
Yeah.
But if you had to exclude the Dark Knight, to me, Watchmen is one of the better DC films in the last 10 years. And it's sad because it came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Um.
with that being said, have you guys done some reading about the graphic novel? Would it be something you might want to check out in the coming weeks or months? Or is this, you've watched it for the episode and you're done with it?
Sorry, Johnny. That's how I feel.
Ed?
Well, I would watch the one where Zack Snyder comes in and explains.
Talks to you about it?
I would like
I
to see
definitely
that.
would
Yeah.
like to see that. That is the one big thing I would like to see.
They also have that for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, which
And 300.
sorry to interject. This is changing of subject. J.K. Rowling has announced she's coming out with 4 new books in the Harry Potter world. It is not about Harry Potter. It is about the world of Harry Potter.
Really.
And I'm pretty sure if I've read right, it's about subjects,
Oh.
as in a history of magic type subject.
Ooh.
So pretty interesting. I'm going to get them once they come out. Should be this month. Should be this month that they come out, if I'm not mistaken, within the next week or 2.
Oh, that they're actually going to be published.
Yes.
Damn.
Well, no,
Oh,
it's
wow,
released.
that's-
They're already
oh.
published, but they're going to be released.
Are they
within the next week or 2.
ebooks? Is that what they are? Or are they actual physical books?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be both, of course. But yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So I think that's actually kind of a cool thing. So
Well,
we'll see.
You guys have interesting talks. I mean, this was, believe it or not, guys, for those of you that have been listening to us since September, this is the very first movie in the Cine-Men movie podcast history that we all three had different aspects and views of. Some of us loved it, some of us liked it, some of us, enjoyed it. So at that point, guys, I think it's time for the big star rating. Zach, we'll start with you.
All right, so
And I mean,
Be real.
we don't. We don't
Don't
have
be a
to.
bitch.
Oh, we don't have to. You don't have to love it. You don't have to like it. Be real. We're trying to talk people out there. We're not trying to talk them into buying the movie. We're not trying to talk them into,
damn.
we're just giving our opinions on the film.
Honestly, at the core of it, I enjoyed this film. It's like I said. You asked me if would I be interested in like going to read the graphic novel. No.
Yeah.
I'm like one and done. I mean that's it. Like maybe a couple years down the line, I'd maybe like to revisit it. But overall, I think it's a solid work from Zack Snyder. I think I enjoyed most of the characters, and I enjoyed the world of the Watchmen. But like I said, it's not something that like I would immediately want to go back to.
Gotcha.
So overall, 7 out of 10. So
I've got to agree, actually. 7 out of 10. It's an enjoyable thing. It's definitely out there, and I've heard a lot of good. I've heard a little bit of bad. However, personally, it's not going to be, a watch every year. But I would watch it again. Like I said, I do want to see the Zack Snyder cut, where he interjects and actually explains. But yeah, I'm going to have to say 7 out of 10.
For me, it's going to be a 7 out of 10.
Damn.
really,
Hold on a
21 out of
second.
30.
I enjoy it. It's to me Zack Snyder's better movie out of most of the stuff he's done. Graphic novel, enjoy the hell out of the graphic novel. Is this a movie that is going to, is it the Dark Knight? No. Is it the Dark Knight Rises? No. But it is, to me, it's one.
Do you like it better than Wonder Woman?
I do.
Okay.
I do like it better than Wonder Woman. I enjoy this better than DC. What DC has done the past 5 years. I really enjoy this movie. Sound. We're talking about the 4K cut. Talking about if you guys go purchase it, you can find it for $14.99 at Best Buy. I picked it up. I think it's stunning. Blu-ray 4K. The sound is always tremendous on these things. I would buy it. I bought it. So if you guys enjoy the darker versions of a DC, or if you just enjoy the darkness of a graphic novel, I would definitely check this out. If you can't sit through a 2 hour and 30-minute movie though, at all, if you were one of those people that just go for just can't do it, then I wouldn't bother.
Well, you're not going to get to the 3 hour and 35-minute cut.
No. I don't even see how some people did the almost 3 hour cut of the original Superman movie. But this is definitely one of those movies that I enjoyed, and I revisit maybe once a year, especially those. But this film, I enjoy it. So.
But I do have to say, I think it's funny that nobody knew who Rorschach was for a long time. Not even Owl and Jupiter.
Right.
They didn't even know, because they, on screen right now, they actually walked past, didn't say nothing to him, didn't even look his way for that matter. So when you've got that, that's a great element to me.
I think Dan kind of knows.